Title: The Haunting of Blackwood Manor. On a spooky Halloween night, when the moon cast a silvery sheen on the overgrown garden, and the wind whispered secrets among the tangled branches, a decrepit mansion loomed on the outskirts of town. Blackwood Manor, with its crumbling walls and shrouded history, was a place whispered about only in hushed tones, a place where fear dared not to tread. But for Sarah, a curious college student with a heart full of unquenchable curiosity, the legends were a siren's call she couldn't resist. It all began when she heard the tale of Lady Eleanor Blackwood. The story went that Lady Eleanor had died under mysterious circumstances, her life ending in despair and betrayal. Rumors hinted that her restless spirit still lingered in the old mansion, seeking retribution and solace from the darkness that had consumed her. Sarah, with her eyes aglow and her courage steeled, was determined to spend this Halloween night within the haunted walls of Blackwood Manor. She believed that by unraveling the secrets of the past, she could find some closure for the tormented spirit of Lady Eleanor. As Sarah approached the imposing mansion, its towering silhouette reached out to her like the ghost of a long-lost memory. The front gate, creaking as it opened, beckoned her inside. The air grew colder as she ventured deeper into the house, and shadows danced like phantoms along the hallway walls. Who dares intrude on this accursed night? A voice whispered from the shadows. Sarah's heart raced as she searched for the source of the voice. Her flashlight quivered in her trembling hand as she ventured into the parlor. There, in the dim light, she saw her, a spectral figure, her flowing gown the color of moonlight, her eyes filled with a sorrow that transcended death. It was Lady Eleanor, her very presence a manifestation of the tragedies that had unfolded within these walls. "You shouldn't be here, child." Lady Eleanor's voice was a haunting whisper. "This place is cursed, as am I. My pain is a torment that spans centuries, and it shall consume all who cross its path." But Sarah was unyielding. Her desire to uncover the truth was as powerful as the ghostly figure before her. "I come seeking answers," Sarah said, her voice trembling but resolute. "Why does your spirit linger? What happened on this accursed night?" As Sarah's words hung in the air, the room grew colder, and the walls seemed to sigh with the weight of forgotten memories. Lady Eleanor, compelled by Sarah's determination, began to recount her tragic tale. She revealed how she had once been a woman of wealth and grace, living in the grandeur of the manor. But her husband, Lord Blackwood, had betrayed her, accusing her of crimes she did not commit. She had died in despair and isolation, leaving her soul trapped in this realm of suffering. As Lady Eleanor's story unfolded, the mansion seemed to come alive with echoes of the past. Ghostly apparitions drifted through the rooms, replaying scenes of betrayal and heartache. Sarah watched in awe and horror as the tragic drama of the Blackwood family played out before her eyes. But it wasn't just the past that haunted Blackwood Manor, it was the vindictive spirit of Lady Eleanor herself. She blamed Lord Blackwood for her fate and for the anguish she endured. Her desire for revenge had become an insatiable hunger, feeding on the despair of anyone who dared enter the mansion. "You must leave this place," Lady Eleanor implored, her spectral form writhing with torment. "My vengeance knows no bounds, and it shall consume you, as it has consumed all who have crossed my path." But Sarah remained unyielding. She believed that, deep down, Lady Eleanor's spirit yearned for release, not revenge. "I will help you find peace," Sarah declared, her voice filled with compassion. "I will uncover the truth of your death and bring justice to your memory." With those words, the atmosphere in the room shifted. The malevolent spirits that had surrounded them began to disperse, their anger and bitterness giving way to a glimmer of hope. The darkness that had clung to Blackwood Manor for centuries started to recede. Sarah's investigation led her to a hidden chamber within the mansion, where she discovered a trove of letters and documents. In those aged pages, she found the evidence needed to vindicate Lady Eleanor and expose the treachery of Lord Blackwood. Armed with the truth, Sarah confronted the restless spirit of Lord Blackwood. His malevolence, born of guilt and lies, was a formidable force, but Sarah's determination to bring justice to Lady Eleanor could not be quelled. In a climactic showdown, the mansion shook with the intensity of the spirits' conflict. Lightning flashed through broken windows, and thunder rumbled like an ancient curse. The truth, like a beacon of light, pierced the darkness that had imprisoned Lady Eleanor. Lord Blackwood, his ghostly form writhing with agony, confessed to his sins. With that admission, Lady Eleanor's vengeful spirit began to dissipate, her anguished existence finding release at last. As the first light of dawn broke over Blackwood Manor, Sarah stood in the crumbling mansion, a sense of closure and tranquility settling over the place. The ghosts of the past, including Lady Eleanor, were gone, their souls finally at rest. Blackwood Manor, once a house of torment, had become a sanctuary, a place where the tragic tale of a vengeful spirit had been put to rest. Sarah had uncovered the truth and brought justice to a tormented soul, leaving behind a legacy of redemption and closure that would echo through the ages. The Halloween night that began with fear and trepidation had ended with resolution and a touch of tragic romance. Sarah, the brave college student who dared to confront the supernatural, had turned the page on an old, haunting chapter, leaving Blackwood Manor forever changed. Title: The Pumpkin Patch of Fear. On a spooky Halloween night, When the fog clung to the earth like ghostly fingers and the moon hid behind a curtain of clouds, Tom and Lisa set out for an adventure they would never forget. Their eager footsteps took them to the outskirts of town, where a remote, mist-covered pumpkin patch awaited. The moon's eerie glow bathed the pumpkin patch in a pale, otherworldly light. Rows of pumpkins, their orange skins reflecting the silver moonlight, stood in serried ranks, seemingly ordinary in every way. As Tom and Lisa ventured deeper into the patch, the pumpkins seemed to watch them, their silent vigilance giving them an uncanny, sentient quality. The couple couldn't resist the allure of the perfect pumpkin for carving. Lisa, with her eyes dancing with excitement, reached out to select a plump, round gourd. But as she touched it, the pumpkin shuddered, its skin pulsating like a heartbeat. "Did you see that?" Tom exclaimed, his voice trembling. Lisa nodded, her heart pounding in her chest. They moved cautiously to another pumpkin, thinking it might have been a trick of the moonlight. But as Lisa's hand brushed the second pumpkin, it too reacted, its eerie pulsation mirroring the first. The couple exchanged a nervous glance before attempting one more time. This time, Tom reached for a pumpkin, his fingers brushing its surface. The pumpkin trembled. And then, with startling speed, it turned to face him, its hollow eyes fixing on him with malevolence. "We have to go now," Lisa said, her voice quivering with fear. As they retreated from the pumpkin patch, the ground behind them erupted in a flurry of activity. Pumpkins rolled and bounced, closing in on the couple, their hollow eyes burning with an unnatural, sinister light. Panic surged through Tom and Lisa as they realized that the pumpkins had a sinister secret. With their minds of their own, they were no ordinary gourds. The pumpkins chased the couple, rolling relentlessly, determined to ensnare them in their pumpkin patch of terror. Tom and Lisa raced through the mist-covered night, their breathless cries filling the air. But the pumpkins closed in, bumping into their heels and tripping them. Each time the couple fell, they narrowly escaped the sinister intentions of the sentient gourds. As they stumbled out of the patch and onto the nearby road, they thought they had left the nightmare behind. But to their horror, the pumpkins showed no sign of stopping. They rolled onto the road, gaining speed, and continued their pursuit. "We need to find a way to stop them," Tom gasped. Desperation fueled their survival instincts, and they raced to a nearby barn, hoping to find something to defend themselves. Inside the dimly lit structure, they spotted a rusty pitchfork leaning against a hay bale. With the pumpkins drawing closer, Tom seized the pitchfork, his hands trembling. He knew that the malevolent gourds would not stop until they were destroyed. With Lisa by his side, he faced the relentless onslaught of the pumpkins. As the first pumpkin rolled into the barn, its hollow eyes locked onto Tom, its intent clear. With a heart filled with dread, he thrust the pitchfork into the gourd, piercing its flesh with a sickening squelch. The pumpkin let out a sinister, gurgling scream as it disintegrated into a foul-smelling mess. One by one, Tom and Lisa fought off the relentless gourds, their hands slick with the remnants of the pumpkins. With each strike, the malevolent pumpkins let out an eerie, howling wail as they were reduced to mush. Finally, the last of the sentient pumpkins lay defeated, their threat vanquished. The barn was filled with an eerie silence, save for the heavy breathing of Tom and Lisa, their clothes stained with pumpkin gore. But as they caught their breath, they realized that there was a twist to the night's horrors. The mist outside began to thin, and the moon emerged from behind the clouds, casting an eerie light on the barn. It revealed a sight that sent shivers down their spines. "Tom, look," Lisa gasped, pointing at the pumpkins. The remains of the sentient gourds had started to quiver and shift. In an unnerving, surreal spectacle, they began to reassemble, their flesh knitting together with an eerie, pulsating rhythm. "We have to get out of here," Tom whispered urgently. As they fled the barn, they could hear the pumpkins behind them, their sinister wailing echoing through the night. Tom and Lisa ran back to the pumpkin patch, hoping to lose the malevolent gourds in the very place they had found them. But the pumpkins showed no sign of relenting. The couple's only chance was to reach the edge of the pumpkin patch and escape into the surrounding forest. As they entered the woods, the chilling wails of the sentient pumpkins slowly faded into the distance. They spent the rest of the night hiding in the forest, their hearts heavy with the knowledge that the malevolent pumpkins were still out there. The encounter had left them shaken, forever changed by the horrors they had witnessed. Dawn broke over the mist-covered pumpkin patch, and the world seemed ordinary once more. But Tom and Lisa knew that the darkness lurking behind seemingly ordinary things could not be underestimated. The unpredictability of nature had revealed itself in a way they could have never imagined. As they emerged from the woods, they could still hear the faint, distant wails of the malevolent pumpkins, a reminder that the horrors of that Halloween night were far from over. Tom and Lisa had ventured into the pumpkin patch of fear, and the terror they had unleashed would haunt them forever. Title: The Curse of the Masquerade. On a spooky Halloween night, the grand, centuries-old Montgomery mansion stood cloaked in mystery. Its grandiose architecture, illuminated by the cold, pale light of the moon, cast long, eerie shadows that danced across the cobblestone courtyard. Tonight, the mansion hosted an exclusive masquerade ball, an event whispered about in hushed tones, where secrets were hidden behind beautifully crafted masks and time seemed to stand still. Lily, a mysterious guest with secrets of her own, had received an invitation to the enigmatic Lord Montgomery's masquerade ball. She arrived at the mansion, her heart heavy with intrigue. The grand entrance was adorned with flickering torches and velvet draperies, while ethereal music filled the air, luring guests into the decadent ballroom. As she ascended the grand staircase, she marveled at the elaborate costumes and masks worn by the other attendees. Each guest hid behind an exquisite facade, concealing their true identity, a reflection of the masks they wore in society. Lord Montgomery, the enigmatic host, cut a striking figure. His mask, an intricately designed raven with shimmering onyx feathers, hinted at a deep well of secrets. He moved gracefully through the crowd, his eyes following Lily as she explored the opulent surroundings. Amid the whispers and laughter, Lily couldn't ignore the unsettling feeling that something dark and otherworldly lingered beneath the surface of this extravagant party. She heard whispers among the guests, tales of a curse that had haunted the masquerade ball for centuries. It was said that those who attended and remained until dawn would be cursed to forever wear a mask, concealing their true selves from the world. Lord Montgomery, sensing her unease, approached Lily. His eyes, hidden behind his raven mask, seemed to bore into her very soul. "You're not like the others, are you?" he asked, his voice dripping with intrigue. Lily hesitated, her words carefully chosen. "I'm here to uncover the mysteries of this masquerade." Lord Montgomery's lips curved into a sinister smile, and he leaned in closer. "Then perhaps you'd like to play a game. To lift the curse, you must decipher the riddle that has perplexed generations of guests. But you must do so before the first light of dawn, or the curse will claim you too." The cryptic challenge sent shivers down Lily's spine, but she accepted without hesitation. Lord Montgomery handed her an ornate scroll, sealed with a blood-red wax. With a bow, he disappeared into the crowd, leaving Lily to unravel the enigma. As she read the riddle, the words seemed to come to life. They told of a secret room hidden within the mansion, a room that held the key to breaking the curse. But the riddle was as intricate as a spider's web, its meaning hidden behind layers of metaphors and symbolism. Lily embarked on a quest to decipher the riddle, her path fraught with danger and darkness. She wandered through the mansion's endless corridors, encountering guests who, too, had been drawn into the curse's twisted game. Their masks concealed their fear and despair, their eyes empty of hope. With each step, Lily unearthed the mansion's hidden secrets. She discovered paintings that wept tears of crimson, rooms filled with memories that whispered to her, and a grand mirror that reflected not her own image but the image of a ghostly woman, her eyes filled with longing. Time seemed to bend and blur as the hours passed, and dawn approached like a specter, its fingers threatening to lock the cursed mask upon Lily's face. She raced against the unforgiving clock, her resolve unwavering. Finally, in the darkest depths of the mansion, she discovered the room foretold in the riddle. It was a small, forgotten chamber concealed behind a tapestry. Inside, she found a silver mask, plain and unadorned. But it was more than a mask, it was the key to breaking the curse. As the first light of dawn painted the sky, Lily placed the mask on her face and recited an incantation inscribed on the scroll. The mansion trembled as if awakened from a long slumber. The curse that had plagued the masquerade for centuries began to unravel, the masks of the guests disintegrating into a fine, ethereal dust. Lord Montgomery appeared, his raven mask shattered, revealing his true face. "You've done it," he said, a mixture of awe and sadness in his eyes. "You've broken the curse." The grand ballroom, once filled with masked figures, was now bathed in the harsh light of day, and the guests were revealed as ordinary people. The enchantment had been lifted, and the secrets hidden behind the masks had been exposed. The mansion, no longer cloaked in darkness, seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. The masquerade had come to an end, and the passage of time had been restored. But as Lily left the mansion, she couldn't help but feel a twinge of sadness. The curse had been broken, but the enchanting world of masks and mysteries had vanished, leaving behind the ordinary, unforgiving light of day. As she looked back at the grand, centuries-old Montgomery mansion, its secrets revealed, she knew that some mysteries were best left unsolved, some masks better left intact. The allure of the masquerade had been a spell that she could never cast again. Title: The Witch's Revenge. It was a spooky Halloween night, and the fog crept through the ancient forest like a shroud, cloaking the gnarled trees in eerie tendrils of mist. Emma, a history enthusiast with a thirst for knowledge, had always been drawn to the dark and mysterious. Tonight, she ventured into the cursed woods, driven by a desire to uncover the secrets buried beneath centuries of history. The forest was said to be haunted, a place where the vengeful spirit of Agnes Blackthorne, a woman accused of witchcraft and burned at the stake, was said to roam. Legend held that on this night, her spirit would rise, seeking revenge on the descendants of those who had wronged her. With a flickering lantern to guide her way, Emma ventured deeper into the forest, each step taking her further back in time. Shadows danced and whispered among the trees, and the air grew colder with every passing moment. The moon hung low in the sky, casting an eerie glow on the twisted branches above. As she journeyed, a sense of unease settled over her. The forest seemed to come alive with the echoes of the past. Ghostly figures drifted through the fog, their faces twisted in pain and anguish. Emma, undeterred, continued her quest for knowledge, determined to confront the spectral presence of Agnes Blackthorne. She had heard tales of the witch's final moments, of the accusations, the trials, and the inescapable judgment of the stake. As she recited the incantation, a chill descended upon her. The air seemed to ripple, and the very ground beneath her feet trembled. Then, with a flicker of spectral light, the vengeful spirit of Agnes Blackthorne appeared before her. Her ghostly form was shrouded in tattered rags, and her eyes held a burning, malevolent fire. "Who dares summon me from the depths of time?" Agnes's voice was a haunting whisper. Emma, with a mix of fear and determination, revealed her purpose. "I seek to uncover the truth of your accusations and the injustices of the past." Agnes's eyes bore into Emma's, her voice dripping with bitterness. "The truth is buried in the memories of the living. They are the descendants of those who condemned me to the flames, and it is they who must pay the price for their ancestors' sins." Emma's heart sank as Agnes began to recount her tale. She had been a healer, skilled in the use of herbs and potions, and it was her knowledge that had led to accusations of witchcraft. Those who envied her abilities had branded her a witch, and she had been subjected to a sham trial. The accusations had come from powerful figures in the town, fueled by greed and fear. They had orchestrated a mock trial, and Agnes, with her hands bound, had been condemned to burn at the stake. The injustices of that fateful day had festered in the depths of the forest. And now, on this cursed Halloween night, Agnes sought retribution. As Emma listened to Agnes's tale, the forest seemed to come alive with the specters of the past, the ghosts of those who had played a part in the witch's demise. They swirled around Emma, their faces twisted in anguish and guilt, their moans of regret echoing through the fog. "You summoned me, and now you must make a choice," Agnes said, her eyes filled with a sinister intensity. "You can leave this forest, and the curse shall befall the descendants of those who wronged me as it has for centuries. Or you can help me uncover the names of the accusers and bring them to justice." Emma hesitated, the weight of the past and the consequences of her decision pressing down upon her. The ghostly figures pleaded with her, their eyes filled with a deep and lingering regret. The choice was hers, to let the curse claim the innocent or to seek justice for the wrong. In the end, her heart led her to the only choice she could make. She agreed to aid Agnes in uncovering the names of the accusers, to seek justice for the centuries of torment that had plagued the witch's spirit. Together, they ventured deeper into the forest, Emma's lantern illuminating the path before them. Agnes whispered the names of the accusers, the ones who had sealed her fate with false accusations. With each name revealed, the spirits of the past grew restless, their moans turning into wails of despair. But Emma was undeterred. She recorded the names of the accusers and vowed to bring their deeds to light, to expose the truth of the injustices that had plagued Agnes Blackthorne. As dawn approached, the forest seemed to release a collective sigh, the curse's hold beginning to wane. Agnes, her spirit growing faint, whispered her gratitude to Emma. "You have given me a chance at redemption, and I shall find peace at last." As the first light of day broke over the forest, the vengeful spirit of Agnes Blackthorne began to dissipate, her malevolence giving way to a sense of release and tranquility. The forest, once cursed and haunted, was transformed into a place of eerie beauty, its secrets laid bare. Emma, the seeker of knowledge and justice, emerged from the forest with a heavy heart, burdened by the weight of history and the price of retribution. She knew that some injustices could never be undone, and that the passage of time held within it the power to heal even the deepest wounds. As she looked back at the ancient, fog-covered forest, she knew that the horrors of the past had been confronted, and the power of the witch's revenge had been quelled. Emma had ventured into the cursed woods and unearthed the secrets of Agnes Blackthorne, leaving behind a legacy of justice and redemption that would echo through the ages. Title: The Haunted Carnival. On a spooky Halloween night, the abandoned carnival grounds lay silent and forgotten. Once a place of laughter and excitement, it now stood as a decaying relic of the past, a haunting reminder of faded memories. Mike, a thrill-seeker with a penchant for the eerie and mysterious, had always been fascinated by the history of the forsaken carnival. Tonight, driven by a desire to uncover the secrets that lay beneath its rusted rides and peeling paint, he ventured into the dark heart of the carnival. The full moon cast an eerie glow over the abandoned attractions, their once vibrant colors now reduced to a ghostly palette of grays and blues. A sense of foreboding settled over Mike as he wandered through the overgrown pathways, the chill in the air hinting at a presence that had never truly left. Mike's heart quickened as he approached the old funhouse, its entrance beckoning him like a siren's call. With an uncertain hand, he pushed open the creaking door and stepped inside. The interior was shrouded in darkness, the air heavy with a sense of nostalgia and dread. As he ventured deeper into the funhouse's twisted maze, a chorus of eerie whispers filled his ears. The voices, soft and mournful, seemed to echo from the very walls. They told tales of wronged carnival workers who had toiled for hours on end, only to be paid in cruel words and empty promises. Mike's footsteps seemed to echo through the desolate funhouse, each sound a testament to the eerie solitude of the place. He had come seeking history, but what he found was far more sinister. The abandoned carnival harbored the vengeful spirits of those who had been exploited and cast aside. The ghosts of the wronged workers, their faces forever etched in anguish, manifested around him. Their spectral forms flickered in and out of existence, their voices a cacophony of pain and anger. They reached out to Mike, their bony fingers clawing at his flesh, their voices a chorus of torment. "You should not be here," one spirit hissed, its voice a chilling whisper. "You are trespassing on hallowed ground." Mike, paralyzed by fear and shock, could only watch as the spirits of the wronged workers drew closer. Their faces bore the marks of years of exploitation, their eyes filled with a hunger for vengeance. "You will pay for the sins of those who came before," another spirit moaned, its voice carrying the weight of untold suffering. As the spirits closed in on him, Mike knew he had to act. With trembling hands, he reached into his pocket and retrieved a small, silver pendant. It was an amulet he had inherited from his grandmother, a symbol of protection against malevolent forces. As he clutched the amulet, a brilliant light emanated from it, bathing the funhouse in a warm, ethereal glow. The spirits recoiled in agony, their forms writhing as if burned by the light. Mike, empowered by the amulet, felt a surge of courage. "Begone," he commanded, his voice steady and unwavering. "You have no power over me." With those words, the spirits were banished, their anguished moans fading into the night. Mike had confronted the ghosts of the past, but he knew that the carnival grounds still held many secrets. Determined to unravel the dark history of the abandoned carnival, he delved deeper into its mysteries. He discovered records of exploitation, unpaid wages, and cruelty that had festered in the shadows. The carnival had been a place of joy for visitors, but a nightmare for those who had worked behind the scenes. Mike, with the weight of history on his shoulders, vowed to shed light on the past, to bring justice to the wronged workers, and to expose the horrors that had been concealed for too long. He knew that the lure of nostalgia had hidden the carnival's true face, and it was time to reveal the darkness that lay beneath. As Halloween night waned and the first light of dawn broke over the abandoned carnival, Mike left the place forever changed. The spirits had been banished, but the weight of history remained. The haunting memories of the wronged workers would linger, a reminder that the consequences of exploitation could never truly be erased. Title: The House of Shadows. On a spooky Halloween night, a dilapidated Victorian house stood as a looming, ominous presence. Locals whispered tales of the house, calling it the House of Shadows. Amy, a fearless paranormal investigator with an insatiable curiosity, had always been drawn to the unexplained and the supernatural. Tonight, she and her team had gathered to explore the infamous house, intent on documenting the paranormal activity that had shrouded it in a cloak of dread. The old house seemed to leer at them as they approached, its windows like empty eyes, its overgrown garden a tangle of dark secrets. The full moon cast an eerie glow on the decaying facade, revealing the scars of time and neglect. Cobwebs clung to the walls like ghostly shrouds, and the air was thick with a sense of foreboding. Amy's team consisted of a camera operator, a researcher, and a psychic medium, all equally determined to unravel the mysteries of the House of Shadows. Armed with their equipment and a lantern that cut through the darkness, they entered the house, the creaking door beckoning them inside. The interior was a labyrinth of abandoned rooms, their walls adorned with faded wallpaper that seemed to pulse with a sinister energy. The air was heavy with the scent of decay, and the only sound was the echoing of their footsteps on the creaking floorboards. As they delved deeper into the house, a chill settled over them. The temperature dropped, and a sense of unease filled the air. The psychic medium, with her heightened sensitivity to the supernatural, shivered and whispered a warning. "There are malevolent entities here, lurking in the shadows," she said, her voice trembling. Amy, undeterred, pushed forward, her camera operator capturing every moment. As they explored the house, they encountered paranormal activity that left them in a state of shock. Objects moved of their own accord, eerie whispers filled the air, and cold hands seemed to reach out from the darkness. "This place is cursed," the psychic medium declared, her eyes wide with terror. "The spirits here are bound by a malevolent force." Amy, with her unwavering determination, was intent on uncovering the truth. The house's history held the key to understanding the darkness that gripped it. They delved into research, uncovering stories of a family that had once lived there, a family whose greed and cruelty had led to a curse that would haunt the house for eternity. The malevolent entities within the house were the spirits of those who had suffered at the hands of the family. Their voices, filled with anger and despair, grew louder, their presence more oppressive. The house seemed to come alive, its very walls twisting and shifting as if to trap its intruders. It was then that they realized they were no longer alone. The malevolent entities had grown more powerful, and they were determined to keep Amy and her team within the house, prisoners of its cursed history. Doors slammed shut, their way of escape blocked. Windows rattled with a furious wind, shattering into 1,000 pieces. The walls of the house closed in around them, forming a suffocating maze of twisted corridors. Amy and her team, their fear mounting, knew that they had to confront the malevolent forces if they were to escape. With the psychic medium's guidance, they sought to communicate with the spirits, to understand their grievances and appease the darkness that bound them. The spirits, with faces contorted in anguish, revealed the horrors they had endured. They told of a family that had reveled in cruelty and sadism, a family that had inflicted unspeakable suffering on all who crossed their path. The malevolent force that held the house in its grip was a manifestation of the family's malevolence, a curse that had lingered for generations. As Amy and her team listened to the spirit stories, they felt a sense of sympathy for the tormented souls. They had been wronged in life, and their malevolent actions in death were a reflection of the cruelty that had been inflicted upon them. With the psychic medium's guidance, they conducted a ritual to free the spirits from the curse. As they chanted and called upon the powers of the supernatural, a brilliant light filled the house, dispelling the malevolent forces. The spirits, their faces filled with gratitude, began to dissipate into the light, their torment finally coming to an end. As the first light of dawn broke over the House of Shadows, Amy and her team emerged from the dilapidated house, forever changed by their encounter with the supernatural. The allure of the unknown had led them to confront the malevolent entities that had haunted the house, and they had uncovered the consequences of meddling with forces beyond their understanding. The house, no longer a place of darkness, stood in eerie silence, its secrets laid bare. Amy knew that the malevolent entities had been released from their torment, and the power of malevolent forces had been quelled. The House of Shadows would forever bear the scars of its cursed history, but its malevolence had been put to rest, and the weight of its dark past had been lifted. Title: The Ghostly Children. On a spooky Halloween night, the graveyard stood in eerie silence under the moon's pale light. It was a place where the past and the present intertwined, a sanctuary for the restless spirits of children from a bygone era. David, a lonely teenager in search of solace, had always been drawn to the graveyard. Tonight, he wandered its solemn paths, seeking refuge from the shadows that haunted his own life. The gravestones, some centuries old, cast long, ghostly shadows that seemed to reach out to him as he walked among them. Each tombstone bore the name of a child, their lives cut short by disease, hardship, and neglect. The air was heavy with the scent of fallen leaves, and the silence was broken only by the mournful sigh of the wind. David, with a heavy heart, sat by one of the graves, its inscription worn away by time. He had come to the graveyard seeking solitude, but it seemed that he was not alone. As he gazed at the moonlit night, he heard the faint laughter of children, a sound that sent shivers down his spine. The laughter grew louder, echoing through the graveyard, and then, from the shadows, they emerged. The ghostly children, their eyes wide and hollow, their faces pale as the moon, approached him. They wore old-fashioned clothing, their ethereal forms almost translucent in the moonlight. "Will you play with us?" one of the children asked, their voice a haunting whisper. David, a mix of fear and fascination, agreed. He joined the children in a game of tag, their footsteps barely making a sound as they glided across the graveyard. The moon illuminated their faces, and David saw a mixture of innocence and sorrow in their eyes. As they played, David learned of the children's stories. They had been orphaned and forgotten, left to fend for themselves in a harsh and unforgiving world. Their lives had been a constant struggle for survival, and their games in the graveyard were a fleeting escape from their hardships. But as the night wore on, the games took a sinister turn. The children's laughter turned into eerie, high-pitched giggles, and their faces contorted into malevolent grins. David, caught in their grip, realized that their innocent facade had masked a darker truth. "You can never leave," one of the children hissed, their voice now laced with cruelty. David, his heart pounding with fear, tried to escape, but the ghostly children surrounded him, their fingers like ice as they reached out to him. Their laughter grew more sinister, and their games became a torment. It was then that David uncovered the tragic past of the children. They had died alone and neglected, their graves forgotten by the world. Their longing for companionship and their yearning for a better life had twisted their spirits, turning them into malevolent entities bound to the graveyard. Desperate to break free from their grip, David began to recount stories of his own childhood, tales of friendship and laughter, of bonds that had sustained him through the darkest times. The ghostly children listened, their hollow eyes filled with a mixture of envy and sorrow. David's stories seemed to touch something deep within the children, a longing for the innocence of childhood that they had never truly experienced. As he continued to speak, the malevolent grins on their faces softened, and their grip on him loosened. In that moment, the bonds of friendship between David and the ghostly children transcended the boundaries of life and death. The children, their faces filled with a bittersweet longing, allowed him to leave the graveyard, their laughter now a gentle echo in the night. As David emerged from the eerie, moonlit graveyard, he knew that he had confronted the restless spirits of the past and had uncovered the enduring bonds of friendship that had lingered in the shadows. The innocence of childhood, lost to neglect and hardship, had been rekindled, and the consequences of neglect had been laid bare. David, forever changed by his encounter with the ghostly children, carried with him the weight of their sorrow and the knowledge that the allure of the past could be a haunting force, one that had the power to bind the living and the dead in a shared sense of longing and loss. Title: The Mysterious Mask Shop. On a spooky Halloween night, the cobblestone street lay shrouded in darkness, illuminated only by the dim glow of flickering street lamps. Sarah, a young woman with a sense of adventure and a desire for the perfect Halloween mask, wandered the eerie street in search of something unique. As she meandered through the shadows, a mysterious shop caught her eye. It stood nestled between two older buildings, its entrance hidden by a velvet curtain that swayed gently in the night breeze. Above the entrance, a weathered sign read, "The Mysterious Mask Shop." Intrigued, Sarah ventured inside. The shop was adorned with masks of all shapes and sizes, each more intricate and enticing than the last. The walls were lined with masks of animals, mythical creatures, and intricate Venetian designs. The air was thick with an aura of hidden desires. Behind the counter stood an enigmatic figure, the shop owner. Their eyes held a knowing glint as they observed Sarah's curiosity. "Welcome to the Mysterious Mask Shop," the shop owner said, their voice a velvety whisper. "How may I assist you on this most special of nights?" Sarah, drawn by the allure of the masks, began to explore the shop. Each mask seemed to call to her, whispering promises of hidden desires and untapped potential. As she examined the masks, she felt a connection, a strange pull that transcended the ordinary. One mask, in particular, drew her in. It was a mask of a majestic phoenix, its feathers ablaze with vibrant colors. The moment Sarah picked it up, she felt a rush of energy and excitement, as if the mask had chosen her. The shop owner watched with a knowing smile. "A wise choice," they said. "The phoenix mask is said to reveal the true desires hidden within the wearer's heart." Intrigued and excited, Sarah paid for the mask and left the shop, her heart filled with anticipation for the night's festivity. As the night unfolded, Sarah donned the phoenix mask, and its vibrant colors seemed to come to life. The mask clung to her face, a perfect fit. She felt an irresistible urge to embrace her inner desires, to set her life ablaze with passion and excitement. At the Halloween party, she became the center of attention. Her confidence and charisma were unparalleled, and her dance moves, once timid, now captivated the crowd. It was as if the mask had unlocked a hidden facet of her personality, a side of herself she had never known. But as the night wore on, the mask's power began to reveal a darker truth. Sarah's desires turned unchecked, and her actions took a sinister turn. She became consumed by the need for attention and admiration, her charismatic charm turning into manipulation and deceit. Her friends watched in horror as she spiraled into a darkness they could not comprehend. The mask's allure had become a curse, a force that had torn apart the boundaries of Sarah's inner desires and unleashed them upon the world. It was then that Sarah, in a moment of clarity, realized the mask's power. She had become a slave to her own unchecked desires, a puppet of her own creation. The phoenix mask, once a symbol of her inner fire, had become a symbol of her own destruction. Desperate to break free from the mask's influence, Sarah rushed back to the mysterious mask shop. The shop owner, their eyes still gleaming with knowledge, greeted her with a solemn nod. "You've discovered the truth," they said. "The masks we wear have the power to reveal our innermost desires, but they can also consume us if we let them." Sarah, with tears in her eyes, begged for a way to free herself from the phoenix mask's grip. The shop owner, with a solemn expression, handed her a mirror. "Look into the mirror and confront your true self," they said. As Sarah gazed into the mirror, she saw the reflection of her own desires, her strengths, and her weaknesses. She saw the allure of the mask, the need for attention and admiration that had driven her to such extremes. With a deep breath, she made a choice to confront her true self and confront the unchecked desires that had threatened to consume her. The moment she did, the phoenix mask lost its grip, its vibrant colors fading into a dull, lifeless gray. Sarah, free from its influence, removed the mask and handed it to the shop owner. "May you find the strength to balance your desires with your true self," the shop owner said, their voice filled with wisdom. As Sarah left the mysterious mask shop, she knew that the allure of the masks people wear in society could be a double-edged sword. They had the power to reveal hidden desires and strengths, but they could also lead to unchecked desires and the loss of one's true self. With the weight of her experiences, Sarah walked away from the dimly lit, cobblestone street, forever changed by her encounter with the mysterious mask shop. She had learned that the consequences of her choices could either consume her or empower her, and that the power of choice lay within her hands. Title: The Cursed Costume Party. On a spooky Halloween night, a grand mansion stood as a beacon of opulence in the darkness. The lavish costume party held within its walls promised a night of glamour and intrigue. Jessica, a partygoer with a fascination for the extravagant, had received an invitation, unaware of the enigmatic figure hosting the event and the curse that lay hidden behind the masks. The mansion was aglow with chandeliers and candlelight, its halls adorned with ornate decor and sumptuous fabrics. The guests, adorned in intricate costumes that concealed their true identities, mingled in a grand ballroom filled with music and laughter. The air was heavy with the scent of perfume and the clinking of glasses. As Jessica entered the mansion, she was captivated by the allure of the event. The guests were a mysterious mix of characters, their costumes so intricate that it was impossible to discern who they truly were. They wore masks of all kinds, each a masterpiece of artistry and deception. One guest, in particular, caught Jessica's eye. His costume was that of a dashing prince, his mask adorned with shimmering gemstones. He approached her with an air of charm and charisma, and they began to converse. He introduced himself as Prince Charming and led her onto the dance floor, where they twirled in a whirl of elegance. As the night unfolded, Jessica noticed that there was something unusual about the partygoers. Their masks, once merely ornate accessories, seemed to take on a life of their own. The masks whispered to their wearers, their voices a sinister undertone to the music and laughter. "Reveal your true self," the masks whispered, their voices barely audible. The guests, under the influence of their masks, began to reveal their deepest desires and secrets. They confessed their greed, their vanity, and their superficiality. The grand ballroom, once filled with joy and laughter, now seemed to pulse with a sense of impending doom. It was then that Jessica realized the truth behind the cursed costume party. The masks were not mere accessories, but a reflection of the guests' innermost desires. The enigmatic figure who had hosted the event had cursed them, binding their true selves to their masks. With a sense of dread, Jessica removed her own mask, her reflection in the grand ballroom's mirror revealing her own desires and insecurities. She saw her own vanity, her longing for attention and admiration, and her fear of being judged by others. As the guests danced and reveled, their masks grew more sinister, their desires more unchecked. The party had become a nightmare, a reflection of the consequences of superficiality and the price of vanity. Desperate to escape the curse, Jessica approached the enigmatic figure who had hosted the party. Their identity remained concealed, their mask as intricate as those of the guests. Jessica implored them to free the partygoers from the curse, to allow them to reclaim their true selves. The enigmatic figure, their voice a chilling whisper, offered Jessica a choice. You can free them, but it will come at a cost. Are you willing to bear the weight of their desires? With determination and a sense of responsibility, Jessica agreed. The enigmatic figure placed a heavy crown upon her head, a symbol of her newfound burden. The weight of the guests' desires, their vanity, and their superficiality settled upon her shoulders. As the crown pressed down upon her, Jessica felt a surge of power. She could hear the whispers of the masks grow louder, their desires flooding her consciousness. With a wave of her hand, she removed the masks from the guests, breaking the curse that had bound them. The guests, their true selves revealed, were left in a state of shock and vulnerability. Their desires, once concealed, were now laid bare for all to see. Jessica, with her newfound power, had the ability to judge them, to reveal their superficiality and vanity. But instead, she chose to show them empathy and compassion. She reminded them of the consequences of their unchecked desires, of the price of vanity. The guests, humbled and shaken, listened to her words and vowed to change. As the night drew to a close, the cursed costume party had transformed into a sobering and reflective gathering. The guests, no longer bound by the weight of their desires, left the mansion with a sense of humility and self-awareness. Jessica, bearing the heavy crown, had learned the true meaning of the masks people wear in society. They may conceal our true selves, but they can also reveal our innermost desires and insecurities. The price of vanity and superficiality is a heavy burden to bear, one that can consume us if left unchecked. With the weight of her experiences, Jessica walked away from the lavish mansion, forever changed by her encounter with the cursed costume party. She had confronted the masks people wear, the consequences of unchecked desires, and the power of choice, and she had emerged with a newfound wisdom and a sense of responsibility for the burdens we all carry. Title: The Phantom Parade. On a spooky Halloween night, a small town lay shrouded in thick, eerie fog. The winding streets and cobblestone alleys were nearly deserted, as most residents had chosen to stay indoors, away from the chilling mist that clung to their skin. But Jack, a curious local with a penchant for exploration, was drawn to the mysterious aura of the town on this haunting night. As he walked through the fog, Jack's curiosity led him to a dimly lit alleyway, where a spectral procession came into view. The ghostly figures that emerged from the mist seemed to belong to a world beyond the living. They wore tattered and ancient clothing, their faces obscured by masks of porcelain and wood. The figures moved in an otherworldly dance, their footsteps silent as they made their way through the town. The parade was a surreal spectacle, a haunting and mesmerizing display of ethereal characters, each one more enigmatic than the last. A chill ran down Jack's spine as he watched the phantom parade. He had heard rumors of its existence but had never witnessed it with his own eyes. The parade had long been a subject of local legend, a mysterious tradition that passed through the town every Halloween night. Unable to resist the lure of the enigmatic procession, Jack approached the spectral figures. As he drew nearer, he noticed a gap in the parade, as if a space had been left for him to join. The ghostly participants, without a word, extended a hand to him, inviting him to become a part of their eerie dance. Without hesitation, Jack accepted the invitation, stepping into the line of parade. The figures, their masks concealing their expressions, guided him through the dance with a surreal grace. The fog seemed to swirl and encircle them, creating an otherworldly atmosphere. As the parade continued its mysterious journey through the town, Jack began to realize that he was not a mere observer but a participant in a strange, ritualistic dance. The figures around him, their movements graceful and fluid, revealed no hint of emotion or identity. With every step, the boundary between the living and the dead seemed to blur. Jack felt as though he had entered a realm where time held no meaning, and the boundary between reality and illusion had dissolved. It was then that he began to hear a haunting, wordless melody carried by the wind and the fog. The tune seemed to seep into his very soul, compelling him to move in harmony with the parade. The dance became an intricate and mesmerizing ritual, a surreal performance of ethereal grace. As the night wore on, Jack felt an inexplicable connection to the phantom parade. It was as though he had become a part of the tradition, linked to the town's past and its enigmatic secrets. He yearned to uncover the purpose of the parade, to understand its origins and the meaning behind its spectral participants. With every step, he observed the figures more closely, studying their masks and their movements. He noticed that some of the masks bore expressions of sorrow, while others displayed joy or indifference. The masks, it seemed, concealed the emotions and identities of the participants. As the parade reached its climax, Jack felt a growing sense of unease. He sensed that the answer to the parade's mystery lay within its enigmatic participants, within the masks that concealed their true selves. It was then that he made a daring choice. With a swift and decisive movement, he reached out and removed the mask from one of the figures. What he saw beneath sent a shiver down his spine. The face of the figure was a hollow void, an empty expanse of darkness that seemed to stretch into infinity. The figure's eyes were like twin abysses, devoid of emotion or identity. Jack recoiled in horror, realizing that the parade was not composed of the living but of something far more sinister. As the other figures turned their empty gazes toward him, Jack knew that he had crossed a forbidden boundary. The parade was not a tradition but a curse, a spectral procession of souls trapped in a never-ending dance. Desperate to break free from the curse, Jack made a final, heart-pounding decision. He removed his own mask, revealing his true self to the spectral figures. The fog and the haunting melodies seemed to withdraw, and the figures faltered in their dance. With a voice filled with sorrow and longing, Jack spoke to the trapped souls, addressing their emotions and their desire for release. The figures, their empty eyes reflecting his own, began to dissolve into the fog, their existence fading into the night. As the last traces of the phantom parade disappeared, the town returned to its ordinary, fog-shrouded stillness. Jack, his heart heavy with the weight of the encounter, walked away from the small, fog-covered town, forever changed by his journey into the mysterious world of the phantom parade. He had ventured into a realm where the traditions of Halloween held a darker meaning, where the consequences of curiosity and the boundary between the living and the dead were tested. The phantom parade, a chilling and surreal dance of souls, had revealed to him the price of unraveling its enigmatic secrets, and he had emerged with a newfound respect for the mysteries of the night.